Today, thanks to the quick action of my administration over the past few days, Americans can have confidence that the banking system is safe.
In the long run, Americans have good reason to be confident in our economic strength. Despite corrections in the marketplace and instances of abuse, democratic capitalism is the best system ever devised.
While there were a couple of days of gains after several days of losses, we shouldn't assume that the stock market's excess volatility is over. However, it does appear the system is working.
Let me assert my firm belief that the only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
All right, through different presidents, Democrat and Republican, and different periods of financial crises, the commander-in-chief, the leader of the free world, the leader of this country and our financial world, has told us that the overall environment, the economy, is sound, and we are better than what ails us. Once again, this president echoing a familiar theme in the middle of what looked like a serious financial crisis. Is it still a serious financial crisis? Carl Icahn on the phone with us right now, Icahn Enterprises, the chairman and the boss there. He has made his money going and zigging against others who look at companies and don't see the same promise that he does. Carl, good to have you. I want to get your sense of how bad this banking situation is. We now have technically 3 banks that over the course of the last week have collapsed. Does it worry you?
Well, to some extent it worries me, but I've been worrying for the last year and a half concerning the whole economy. And I think the banking crisis is something that you might expect in Silicon Valley Bank. There's too much money floating around in the system, and I think Powell's very right about that. There's just too much cash. By definition, if you keep printing up money, I mean, it's obvious, it's simple, but I like to look at things simplistically. If you have too much money floating around in this system, you're going to have inflation. By definition, and then people say, why should they work? And if you look at any hegemony throughout history, pretty much inflation has caused hegemony to fall. Let's go back to Rome. Same thing. So you have that here, and Powell is completely right in trying to stop it in its tracks. But when you do that...
But Carl, do you think that if he stops it, it's something he might stop his rate hiking in its tracks, and because of this, might skip what was supposed to be at least a quarter-point hike next week at the Fed's next meeting? Is that a good or a bad idea?
I can't even talk about what he should do next week or next month even. I mean, no one can predict, what's going to happen next month, the next 3 months maybe. You predict looking out for a couple of years and look out what's happening. And the system is, the problem in this system is right now that we issue too much capital. Very simply, the balance sheet of the Fed went up like $7 trillion or a number like that. You look at that and say, the Fed is now telling you we're sort of going to get it back. It's like you gave your kids all this money and they went out and bought things foolishly, and then I'll get to that. So not only do you have this problem, but I've been saying it for years and actually made a great deal of money buying companies that have problems, that are in crisis, and cleaning them up. You don't have to be a genius to clean them up, because in many companies, with many, many exceptions, the people that run them are not the people that should run them. But there's no accountability. Our system does not, corporate governance, corporate democracy is an oxymoron. And so you can't get rid of these guys unless they do really bad things. So you find out which ones are doing the bad thing, and you buy them. And then it takes time to clean them up. But these companies are in terrible shape in a lot of our companies. So now when things are good, the rising tide lifts all boats. But when things start going down, then you see who's naked. And you're going to see a lot of nakedness.
Yeah, then you got to wonder who next could be exposed. The Silicon Valley Bank was doing everything right, or so would appear on paper, when it was buying all these treasury notes and bonds, more than $100 billion worth, Carl. And then, a year ago this week, the Fed started raising interest rates. And they were stuck with a lot of high-priced bonds, right?
Yeah, I know. You think they do everything right, but I don't think they did everything right by long term. Look, they're lending short term. I haven't looked at their books, but I would tell you, when you went into the 10 years. Yeah, you were making money for a while,
and it was easy. It was like shooting fish in a barrel. It was like shooting fish in a barrel.
Yeah, so you went into 10 years, whatever, thinking, okay, they're going to go up faster or whatever, and you sort of pick the interest rate markets. But look, I would get back to my point. Today, we launched a proxy fight against Illumina, a company with a management team that lost this company. They lost their shareholders. In the last year and a half, $50 billion. The stock went down $50 billion, and they're talking like they did nothing. It's like, I call them the Rip Van Winkle board. It's like they were asleep for a year and a half, and say, oh, we're great people. We care about our shareholders. They lost $50 billion, and they won't even say that they made a mistake. And it gets much deeper. But that's the kind of company I look at, because the company itself is a great company. They do gene sequencing, but it's just a good example of what I'm talking about. A management team that with its board goes out and loses $50 billion. And our teams have gone into these companies and cleaned them up. So we said, hey, put 3 of our guys on your board, and we'll be able to help you financially to work things out. Like we just did for First Energy, for instance. And they just say
we should explain that. We should explain Illumina is it's a life science maker. It scooped up G-Rel. You said it, and in the process it cost Cheryl's $50 billion and a lot of botched moves there. I don't know where that goes, but I guess what you're saying and linking it maybe to what happened with Silicon Valley Bank is that management made a lot of mistakes. Are there other companies, other banks that you suspect made a lot of mistakes?
Well, in retrospect, I'm not just talking about those two, even though I don't know Silicon Valley, so I can't speak about Illumina. Just really botched it up. I've never even seen, with all the stuff that I've looked at, how somebody can do what they did, how they can do what they did. We can't get into it. You don't have time. But I'm saying something more abstractly here. I am saying, on the bigger picture, that one of the problems that we're going to face in this economy, and I've said it for a long time, is the lack of good management in many companies. Many companies, they didn't do as bad as Illumina. Many companies are run by people that are not qualified to run them or don't care. In other words, they have different agendas. If you're a CEO, you want to get quick fixes because it goes to your bonus. I'm not blaming them. That's what happened. But they go out when they had low interest rates and made a lot of acquisitions of stuff they shouldn't have bought. Now interest rates have gone up. They can't, and this interest is going to cost them. And many of these companies that they bought, because they thought they knew how to run them, they thought they had synergies mistakenly, like they did in Illumina. And what's going to happen, I believe, and I hope I'm wrong, but I do believe that what's going to happen is going to be a come to Jesus meeting, so to speak, with what has happened. Because when you don't have good management in a company and the tide goes down, you need the productivity that companies should be giving you. And we don't have that productivity. That's one of the reasons we have the inflation. You don't have a productivity in many of these companies. We've gone into companies, and I'll tell you, there are very few companies in this country, very few. There are good ones, though. I'll give you good ones, that we couldn't go in and save them 20 or 25% of wasted money on jet planes for the guys, on parties, on this. But I want to say that there are many good companies. I mean, there are many good boards, but we don't generally get involved with those. So I'm just saying that we haven't seen the last of what I'm talking about. I mean, if you look at statistics, which I look at because I study the markets, obviously, no bear market ever bottomed out until future earnings of the S&P were going at a 15-time multiple. So we still have a hell of a way to go to get to that 15 multiple, which I think you're going to get to eventually when people lose confidence. And I think it's
So
coming.
we have a longer ways.
However,
You're saying, Carl, we have a longer ways to go. We have a far bigger hit to come.
I believe that. But however, not tomorrow. I can't tell you what's going to happen next month, 2 months, 3 months. You're a fool to even try in a way. But what you can look at, the big picture, and by the way, I certainly could be wrong. And in a way, I hope I'm wrong because, you know, I have a lot of long stocks. I keep everything hedged as much as I can, so I'm long and short. And I got a pretty big short book. But I would say to you, I hope I'm wrong because I just enjoy doing what I do, pick out some very poorly run company and sort of know I can clean it up.
It's different when you try to come in and save a company and turn it around. It's on you and you try to make a success of it. These rescues of banks, or whatever you want to call it, backing it up with FDIC insurance to cover everybody, limitless funds way beyond 250 grand. The administration says that's not going to come out on the taxpayer. Do you believe that?
Well, I don't understand how it doesn't come out on the taxpayers. I can't figure that one out. So I'd like you to explain it to me. I don't know who's paying it. How do they pay that? Hey, look, I'm not here to talk about that bank and what the government's doing to pull it out because there are a lot of people that can't afford the loss, and so the government is bailing them out. But then you got moral hazard, and you can't let companies think that when they screw up, it don't matter because the government's going to save you because then you're going to get rampant inflation and the currency is going to go to hell. So you can't do this forever. You can't do it. In this situation, I'm certainly no expert with the Silver Isle, you know, the Silicon Valley Bank. And,
right.
You know, I feel, though, that we have a problem. I go back to my aluminum example because that's a quintessential example, the poster boy of what's wrong with management today. You know, they say, it's funny, they look at our board, they're like Rip of our wheel. They look at our board and say, wow, your guys don't know science enough. You guys don't understand it. And it's true, you know, none of my three guys won the Nobel Prize, but neither did one of my three guys ever lose $50 billion of money that they were entrusted with.
You know money, Carl. You know money, and you know money in and money out. So keep us posted on the aluminum.
This is what we know. We don't know how to do gene sequencing. Okay. We're not saying we do. But we are saying that they made an acquisition. But I say I've never even seen one. I mean, we don't have to go into it. That's as crazy as these guys did.
All right, we'll follow that. That's a whole separate drama building. But, Carl, in the meantime, thank you very much for your input on this. Okay. But you're quite right to bring up the issue of the accountability for management, whether it's a biotech concern or a bank. Okay, right now, a lot of questions being raised.
Good talking to you, Neil.
Carl Icahn. Same here, Carl. We'll have more right after this.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.